Okay, this is the third step. We're starting onto the last layer now. And this step is the orientation of the last layer. Basically, in this step, we're going to try to make all the yellow stickers face upwards. So we're going to have the yellow face is done, but the top layer isn't necessarily done. Around the edge here, it's not going to match, but that's the last part, so don't worry about that yet. So we're trying to make a cross on the top first, and we already have one. This is kind of lucky things happen sometimes. Usually you won't though. So you're looking for one of two different patterns. The first pattern is an L. You can have an L shape, and the second pattern is this bar. There's the L and the bar, and there's two algorithms to solve those. The algorithms are very easy to remember, and they're very similar to one another. For the bar, you want to hold it horizontally like this, and do this algorithm. F, R, U, R prime, U prime, F prime. And you can see that got us our cross. For the L, you want to hold it so that the left and the back stickers are facing up, so that it looks like this. And do this algorithm. F, U, R, U prime, R prime, F prime. And that got us our cross. Something you might notice is that both those algorithms are very, very similar, and they can be confused with one another quite easily. So be careful with that, but it's also kind of nice because it makes them very easy to remember. Okay, so we got our cross, which is another way of saying we're done the edges. So we got to worry about these corners now. There's one algorithm for the corners, and basically what it does is it switches the orientation of these three corners. It doesn't touch this one at all. So I'll show you what the algorithm is now, and then I'll explain what it does after. R, U, R prime, U, R, U2, R prime. And that's switched around the orientation of these three corners. So, since it switches around the orientation of three, we want to have one that's right, which we actually have here. But usually you won't, and I'll show you what I mean. Usually you'll have just the cross, no corners are done, or you'll have like this where two of the corners are done. You want only one, and the reason for that is that since it switches three, having one done already, you can get the four that you need. So you just basically want to play around with that algorithm I showed you until you get the one that's correct. A lot of people call this the fish, just because it kind of looks like a fish. So we have the correct one, and we want to hold it in the front left spot. And then we do the same algorithm again. R, U, R prime, U, R, U2, R prime. And that'll solve all the corners. Sometimes it won't, and that just means you have to do it again, because this algorithm is on a cycle of 3, so sometimes you have to do it twice. And that is the OLL. We have the entire top is yellow, and now we can do the PLL, which is flipping around these, or switching the corners and edges around. Okay, so for the PLL, the last step, there are only two algorithms that you need to know. There's actually a lot more than that, but with the combination of these two, you can solve the top. One of them switches around three edges, and one of them switches around three corners. And obviously, with a combination of switching edges and corners, you can solve any given permutation of the last layer. So, for the edges, I always do the edges first. You can do the corners first if you want. It's up to you. Basically, we're going to try to rotate the top until we get one and only one edge that matches. So just keep in mind where it is, make sure that none of the other ones match. Good. Hold the one that matches in the back and do this algorithm. This algorithm switches the three edges closest to the front in a clockwise direction. And this is what it looks like. F2, U, R prime, L. F2, R, L prime, U, F2. and it didn't do anything, which means we just have to do it one more time, because it can go clockwise. It can only go clockwise, and the one we needed was the other one. If that makes any sense. Never mind. F2, U, R prime, L, F2, R, L prime, U, F2. And you can see that fixed all of our edges. And now it's fairly obvious that we only need to switch these three edges around, and our cube will be done. So this is the algorithm for this. And it's a bit more advanced, but this is really fun. I love this one. And this is what it looks like. L prime, U, R prime, D2, R, U prime, R prime, D2, R2. And would you look at that, our cube is complete. And we completed this cube by using only 7 algorithms. And most of them are pretty easy to remember, so I hope now that you can get a pencil and paper, write down those algorithms, and start learning how to solve this thing.